Tipping in the USA might be a little bit out of control and ridiculous. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the tipping culture in the United States. It might be a little crazy. It might be a little bit out of control. And some of these services are requesting or maybe even almost requiring that you tip before you use them, which kind of defeats the purpose. It's like, look, okay, if I want to tip, that should be my prerogative. That should be my choice. But then when apps like DoorDash, Uber Eats, Instacart are saying, hey, if you don't tip, it might be a problem with your food. It might not get there on time. It might not get there when you want it. You're kind of being forced into it if you want to use that particular service. Now, before we get into today's video, I just want to say this. I am a good tipper. If I go to a restaurant, I'm going to tip at least 20%. If it's good service, you're really on it, you're personable, you got good personality, I'll give you more. Okay? If the check is $100 and I got a cool 50 in my pocket, if you're good, hey, there you go. Take that. I over tip. And I tip in certain circumstances where a lot of people don't tip normally. I tip the valet parker. That might be kind of normal. $20. Hey, there you go. I tip the hotel maid after I'm done with the room. Okay, I've been here a couple of days. It's in the holiday season or whatever. Here's some money. I write a note. Thank you, gracias, all that good stuff. There you go. Have that. I tip in quite a few instances. Now, do I tip Uber Eats? I don't really get Uber Eats at all. Uber Eats, Instacart. I've only done that one time in my life, and I'll talk about why I don't really use those services in a minute. But if I did get it, I would tip. I'll tell you what I do. When I buy food from a restaurant and I go pick it up, I will tip online. So let's say, for example, I'm going to X, Y, and Z restaurant. I'm ordering online. And at the end of it, they say, okay, do you want to tip 10, 15, 20? I'll tip at least 15 and 20%. And the reason for that is because I probably go there a lot. Maybe once a week, I go to the particular restaurant as part of my routine. And they know me at a certain point. I walk into the restaurant. I'm a tall guy. I look a certain way. They're going to recognize me as, they know my name. Hello, Mr. Logan. How you doing? So I want them to associate me and my face with good tipper. So it's just good for building a relationship. That's the reason why I do it. Now, if I was out of town somewhere, maybe I do it, maybe I wouldn't. But I definitely want to build a good relationship in town. So I will do that for that reason. But even if I'm not going to be there and going there consistently, I always tip at a sit-down restaurant. Now, let's go back to this right here. This is what I showed you at the very beginning of the video. And it's kind of hard to see in the screen, but you kind of see what's going on. Matter of fact, let me just move myself out the way so you'll be able to kind of see what's happening. You see what's going on right there, right below me? The dollar amount is $37.25. So whatever this person ordered, that was the amount that the person has to pay as the base pay. And then you see the options for the tip on a little kiosk. You know how they do. You go to the place, you check out, they're spinning around talking about it's going to ask you a question, meaning it's going to ask for a tip. You see some of the options, 20%, 30%, 50%, 100%. I mean, 100% for a tip? Come on, what are we talking about? Why would that be an option? You see there's two other options below it, custom and skip. Now, if I wanted to give 100% or more, or some dumb amount, 50%, if I wanted to give a very high amount like that, then I would just go to custom and do it rather than you suggesting I do that, okay? And then a lot of us are going to just hit skip. So you know what? I'm not doing the 20 to 100, I'm going to go skip. And then the question is, what did you even buy for the $40? What was that? Was that a restaurant meal? What was it, the $40? I don't really know, but this kind of stuff is out of hand, especially at a self-checkout situation. Now, here is an article. We're not going to read it really, but the headline, you see it. When tipping extends to the self-checkout machine, who receives them? Now, self-checkout, here's a scenario that actually happens. I'm not making this up. You go to a supermarket type place, grocery store, you literally select your food, your items, whatever, from the shelves. You put it into your basket, your buggy, your cart, whatever you guys call it, wherever you live in your part of the particular world. You go to the self-checkout machine, you scan all your items, you bag all your items. At the end of the whole thing, it's saying, do you want to tip? Who am I tipping there for what? I interacted with no human being. Nobody had to go procure my items. Nobody had to go cook the items. The items are just sitting right there on the shelf. I went and got the items, scanned them, put them into a bag, and you asking me for a tip. That really does happen. I lie to you not. I heard that and I was like, huh? I could understand tipping a restaurant where they cook the food for you and you go pick it up. Even though that's kind of, it's kind of a stretch, I understand it. It makes a little bit of sense to me. And I think a lot of people think that's not really a good thing to do, but I understand it because, especially for the cooks, I used to work in the restaurant for 5 years back at the house. I've done a little bit of line cooking, food prep, dishwasher, and done it all. So I understand wanting to look out for the cooks. Although if you tip, that ain't going to the cooks usually, but different story. I digress. But you didn't even do anything to get my tip. So why are you asking for a tip? This is why I'm saying that tip culture has gotten out of control. Now, let's move forward here because I want to talk about this whole DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Instacart kerfuffle. You see the headline here. DoorDash rightfully bothers users who don't tip. Now, this article is from the summertime in August of this year, but there was an update that rolled out earlier this year where in the app, they nudge you if you don't tip. All right. And we're going to actually see the little nudging thing going on. And this right here says that a DoorDash driver will only get between $2 and $10, I suppose, from DoorDash itself per order. So they rely on the tips. I understand that. It's like being a pizza delivery guy. You make your little base pay, but that's not nothing. You rely on the tips. Same thing with being the waiter, waitress, or whatever. Okay, I understand. Now, here is, I suppose, an example of what the nudging looks like. Now, you're able to add a tip, and it says 100% of the tip goes to your Dasher and will be paid out with their DoorDash earnings. So I suppose the way DoorDash works, and again, I'm not a DoorDash connoisseur. I'm going to enlighten you why in a moment. But I suppose you pay for your food as you normally would from a restaurant. And on top of that, there's a fee. DoorDash makes their money from the fee. And then a piece of that fee would go to the Dasher, but it's not a lot of money. DoorDash makes a lot. They may take a lower amount of the fee, but they make a lot because it's all going to one big DoorDash pot. The Dasher, however, is just one of many, of thousands, of tens of thousands of guys across the country doing the exact same thing, guys and girls. So they're going to get proportionately more of the fee, but less money. Anyway, but the tip goes 100% to them. They make their living from the tip. And look at what it says here. Orders with no tip might take longer to get delivered. Are you sure you want to continue? Because right here it says 0 with the tip, right? Dashers can pick and choose which orders they want to do. Orders that take longer to be accepted by Dashers tend to result in a slower delivery. All right, so you can add a tip or continue without a tip. Now, if I was to use the service, I'd tip because it's like a pizza delivery guy. Same thing, same concept in my opinion. But, I mean, it's like pressuring you to do it. And it's almost like saying, if you don't tip, your food might not get to you. That's kind of what it's saying. So it's kind of forcing you. So if I was DoorDash, maybe I would just up the delivery fees or include mandatory gratuity or just not have this. Because is that really going to make you want to tip? I'm not really sure that it would. But for me, I would do it. But again, I'm not going to use this kind of app. And here's the reason why. First of all, I'm not really a food delivery person, even pizza delivery. The only time I've gotten delivered pizza is like if I was moving or something and I was doing that just like to help. But even in a situation when I would be moving or helping somebody move and I'm ordering food, I'll go pick it up. And I got that from my dad and them, because I remember one time I helped him move and we ordered some pizza and went to go pick it up. It might have been like 8 boxes and we picked it up in a sedan. So me with the F-150, I'm going to pick up the food, whatever it is. The pizza, the Chick-fil-A sandwich. I used DoorDash one time and it was kind of weird. I was just wanting to try it. I was in DC and I saw a friend of mine with some IHOP in the morning down in the hotel lobby with everybody else I was with. I'm like, where you get that? She's like, oh, DoorDash. I had no idea what that was really. She put me on the game. So then I ordered the Chick-fil-A sandwich from DoorDash and I'm outside the hotel waiting. And it was this girl walking across the street with the Chick-fil-A sandwich. I'm like, and then I'm thinking, okay, the Chick-fil-A is like right there. I could have just walked myself and went to go get it. I felt really lazy. I'm not saying you are lazy necessarily if you use these apps, but personally, I prefer to go get the food. And I also don't want every time Nick and Harry to have my address. Bad enough we got the Flex, UPS, FedEx, whatever guys delivering packages in the regular sedan, a Toyota Prius or something crazy. Bad enough we got that going on. Then I'm going to give this random person from DoorDash my address. I'm weary about giving the Uber driver my address. So I'm not really liking the whole setup. And then of course, they might take a bite of your food. A pizza delivery guy, not so much, because if you got a slice missing, that's pretty easy to see. But if you got some pad thai, some pad see ew, something like that, some kind of noodles, chicken, beef, shrimp fried rice, pork fried rice, they might take a few bites out of that and you won't know any difference. Okay, it won't be disturbed at all. They can reaffix that cube back to the way it was in a little Chinese carryout box after they already had about 4 or 5 bites. So I'm good on that. I will go get the food myself. And if I wanted to, at that point, I will. But I'm not really trying to do with the whole DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Instacart kerfuffle. But as I close, I want to say this. I believe in tipping, but at a certain point, it's kind of ridiculous when they're forcing you to tip or suggesting really hard that you tip, or a situation where they kind of put the pressure on you, spinning the machine around. Oh, the new thing they got in the restaurant is where they got the machine right there. Like it's like a little machine you could put your card in and tip right there in front of them. Okay. Now, I'm not really swayed by high pressure tactics. I was at a place as I close. I was at a place and they brought this big clunky machine out talking about you could pay right here, you could tip right here or whatever. I literally paid and put 0 for the tip. Now, don't get triggered and click out of the video. I put 0, but I also tipped the person a lot of money. It was this, a special dinner. The tab was like $250. So I had 80 in my pocket in cash, gave him that. F taxes. Taxation is theft. How about that? Don't report none of that. I'm playing IRS if you're watching, but I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your take on this whole tipping culture that has kind of run amok in the USA? Is it good thing, bad thing, somewhere in between? Do you tip a lot? When do you tip? Do you tip DoorDash? Do you tip self-checkout? If you go to the Aldi or some place like this and you pick out all your own stuff, you don't talk to any human beings, are you going to tip at the end of it? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I tip for relationship building and to help people directly. Okay, you clean my room in a hotel. Okay, here's a little tip for you. You pick up my vehicle and you don't go joyriding in my vehicle. I got a tracking device on it so I know where you're going. If you do that with my vehicle in valet, here go a tip. I tip people directly for what they do. But a machine, like, why? And the high pressure tactics, I don't like. Not at all. The high pressure tactics make me buck against the system more. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.